Let me ask you this. Have you ever watched a relationship fall apart so dramatically that you couldn't look away, no matter how painful it was to witness? That's exactly what's happening with Kody and Robyn Brown from Sister Wives. Their relationship is like a slow motion train wreck. You can see the disaster coming from miles away, but they're too deep in their own delusions to stop it. On the surface, it might look like Kody's living the dream with Robyn. She's the one who finally gets him, the one he's obsessed with. But dig a little deeper and you'll find a toxic mix of narcissism, manipulation, and utter selfishness driving their every move. Robyn, with her constant need for validation and material comforts, has Kody wrapped around her finger, feeding his fragile ego in a way that no one else has. Meanwhile, Kody continues to paint himself as the victim in every situation, refusing to take any responsibility for the mess he's created. It's a game of ego, control, and blame. And guess who's left picking up the pieces? Everyone else in the family. Stick around because the ugly truth behind this power couple's facade is about to get real. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Kody and Robyn's relationship is, without a doubt, a masterclass in manipulation, but it's also a sad testament to just how deep insecurities can run when two people are more invested in protecting their fragile egos than actually facing the truth about their relationship. Let's start with Robyn. From the moment she entered Kody's life, she knew exactly how to play her cards. Kody was coming off multiple divorces, his relationship with his children was in tatters, and his self-esteem, well, it was hanging by a thread. Robyn, though, stepped in and found a way to make him feel like he had finally found the one, someone who needed him, someone who would see him as the prize he so desperately wanted to be. But here's the kicker. She used that very need for validation to control him. Robyn, with her soft-spoken demeanor and constant affirmations, tapped into Kody's deep-rooted fear of rejection. She made him believe that he was special, that he was somehow deserving of her devotion, something he hadn't felt in years. In return, Kody's ego skyrocketed, but instead of seeing it as a healthy bond, he convinced himself that this was true love. This was the relationship that would finally work. Robyn wasn't just his wife. She became his emotional crutch. She gave him the security of feeling validated, something that he clung to desperately, despite all the red flags waving around him. But here's the sad truth. While Kody's ego inflated, Robyn's intentions were always self-serving. She wasn't truly interested in him beyond what he could give her. Emotional validation, material comforts, and control. Robyn learned to play the long game, making Kody feel like she was the rare gem he had to protect at all costs. So, while Kody tried to convince himself that Robyn was this perfect, selfless woman, the reality was that he was being used to fulfill her own needs, and he couldn't even see it. What we see here is a relationship where both parties are so consumed by their egos and insecurities that they have no room for anything genuine. It's all about manipulation, control, and a mutual lack of self-awareness. It's heartbreaking because what should have been a partnership based on mutual respect and love has devolved into a toxic cycle of self-deception. Kody's ego is like a ticking time bomb, and it's not just explosive, it's also completely delusional. This guy has the audacity to believe that everyone else is to blame for the breakdown of his family, when in reality, it's his own lack of self-awareness and refusal to take accountability that's causing the wreckage. First off, let's be clear. Kody is the definition of someone who cannot self-reflect. He's living in a world where he's always the victim. Never mind that he's the one making decisions that tear his family apart. Time and time again, he justifies his actions by shifting blame onto others. If his relationships with his kids are strained, it's not his fault. They're being unreasonable or disrespectful. If things aren't going well with his wives, they're just not understanding him properly. Kody has built a cozy little bubble where everything wrong is because of someone else. His ego needs that constant reassurance that he's right, no matter the wreckage left in his wake. And let's talk about his refusal to acknowledge the consequences of his actions. Kody's approach to his failed marriages is especially glaring. He will never admit that his neglect and favoritism, especially toward Robyn, have played a massive role in pushing away his other wives. Instead, he sticks to his narrative that he was simply misunderstood or wasn't given a fair shot. You've got to admire the chutzpah. This guy is a walking "it's not my fault" parade. All of his relationships have imploded, and his go-to move? Blame the wives who dared to stand up for themselves or point out his glaring inconsistencies. Then, there's the fact that he can't ever seem to take responsibility for his actions as a father. His kids? Yeah, they're angry, but according to Kody, it's because they're just acting out. The fact that he's been publicly criticized for his distant and passive approach to parenting, especially with his older children, doesn't even seem to register in his brain as a problem. He simply refuses to confront the truth. His own actions, or lack thereof, have caused the damage. In Kody's world, it's all about keeping up the appearance of a perfect man, the perfect husband, the perfect father. But underneath that facade is a man who's terrified of facing the reality that he's the one responsible for ruining the very thing he claims to care about, his family. Robyn is the textbook definition of someone who thrives on appearances, and boy, does she take it to the extreme. Her obsession with materialism is almost laughable if it weren't so heartbreaking. Whether it's her constant need for the latest designer things or the dream of a perfectly curated life, it's clear that for Robyn, the image is everything. The idea of a perfect Christmas, a picture-perfect family, and a flawless home isn't just a desire, it's a necessity. But behind all these shiny trinkets and well-crafted moments is a woman who's hiding a deep, self-serving nature. She doesn't just want validation, she craves it. She craves being seen as the ideal wife, the ultimate partner, and the shining star of Kody's life. But at what cost? Robyn's emotional investment in the family often feels more like a calculated move than genuine love. While she feigns concern for the children, there's always a self-interest angle. Whether it's creating the perfect family narrative or making sure her kids are treated as Kody's first priority. What's really striking is Robyn's complete lack of empathy. In moments of crisis, whether it's a family holiday or a major conflict, she appears more focused on how things should look rather than how people actually feel. Robyn's unrealistic expectations of what her life should be are at odds with the reality of a blended family, which she struggles to understand. And when things don't fit her ideal, the facade crumbles, and all that's left is a woman desperately trying to fill the gaps with material possessions and empty gestures. You can't help but feel sorry for her in a way, because it's clear she's not fully present emotionally for the family. She's too busy trying to be the perfect version of herself. What's tragic is that she doesn't realize that a genuine connection can't be bought, and you can't fill the emptiness with a shopping spree or an Instagram perfect moment. The damage Kody and Robyn have caused to the family is beyond repair at this point, and it's devastating to watch unfold. Kody's blatant favoritism toward Robyn has created an undeniable rift, not only between him and his original wives, but also with his children. It's as if the family he once had is no longer his priority. Robyn and her children have become his focus, and the fallout is heartbreaking. Kody's treatment of his first wives, especially Christine, Janelle, and Mary, has left them feeling isolated and unloved. It's not just the physical distance, it's the emotional abandonment. He's constantly made it clear that Robyn is the one he wants to prioritize, both in his actions and words. You can almost feel the sting of that abandonment every time Kody brushes off concerns from his other wives, shifting the blame onto them, or worse, ignoring their pain altogether. For Christine, it's a cruel slap in the face, and Janelle is left to deal with the neglect, all while Kody plays the victim. The real tragedy here, though, is the alienation of Kody's children. His relationship with them is severely damaged, and it's painful to watch. His older kids, who once had a solid bond with him, are now distancing themselves from their father. What's worse is that Kody doesn't even seem to notice, or if he does, he doesn't seem to care. Robyn may provide him with the ego boost he craves, but she's not the one who will be there for him when his children grow up and move on. The isolation Kody is creating with his own kids is a consequence of his neglect, and it's one that will have long-term repercussions. In trying so hard to create a life with Robyn, Kody has completely ignored the needs of his children and the emotional wreckage he's left behind. The family that once existed is barely recognizable anymore. Kody and Robyn's obsession with materialism is not just a superficial flaw, it's a glaring hypocrisy that highlights how disconnected they've become from what really matters. Let's talk about Robyn's shopping addiction. It's not just that she loves to splurge on herself, it's the way she insists on perfecting every little thing, especially when it comes to the holidays. Robyn's obsession with creating this idealized, picture-perfect Christmas has become a recurring theme, and it's honestly hard to ignore how out of touch it is with the struggles of the rest of the family. While she's out there buying gifts that are more for show than anything else, the original wives and their children are just trying to make do with what they have, dealing with real-life issues like emotional neglect and fractured relationships. It's not just about the presents either. The entire idea of a perfect holiday, complete with perfect meals, perfect decorations, and perfect family moments, has become this unattainable fantasy for Robyn. She's constantly striving for something that doesn't even exist, all while ignoring the cracks in the family foundation. It's ironic, isn't it? Robyn wants this picture-perfect family life, but she's so fixated on the material and the external that she can't seem to realize what really holds a family together: the genuine love, the vulnerability, the sacrifices. Contrast that with the earlier years of the Brown family. Back when they didn't have the lavish shopping sprees or the over-the-top celebrations, there was still an undeniable bond. The family worked together, laughed together, and supported each other through thick and thin. Now, Kody and Robyn are so focused on appearances, they've lost sight of what actually makes a family thrive. And the hypocrisy? It's staggering. They've turned the family into a brand, and it's all about presenting the perfect image even when it's falling apart behind the scenes. The consequences of Kody and Robyn's behavior aren't just inevitable. They're already unfolding in real time. The cracks in their relationship, the alienation of Kody from his children, and the emotional toll on his original wives can't be ignored any longer. We all know that you can only manipulate and neglect people for so long before they start to walk away. And that's exactly what's happening. As the damage to the family unit continues to pile up, it's clear that Kody and Robyn's egos are setting them on a path toward inevitable loneliness. Kody, especially, has isolated himself so thoroughly from his children, from his other wives, and from anyone who dares to challenge his fragile, self-serving narrative. His narcissism has already cost him relationships that can't easily be repaired. You can only pretend that your actions don't have consequences for so long before you are left with nothing but a hollow existence. And that's what's coming for him: an empty house, a handful of people who have seen through his excuses, and a lifetime of regret for the choices he made. As for Robyn, her role in all of this is just as damning. She may have convinced herself that she's building something perfect with Kody, but she's also burning bridges left and right, contributing to the breakdown of a once strong family. The material comforts she craves and the validation she constantly seeks will mean nothing when the people around her stop caring. The day will come when Kody's money, his false promises, and his manipulative charm won't be enough to fill the emptiness. Both of them are headed for a future where they'll have no one to rely on but each other. Two egos colliding with no one left to stroke them. The loneliness and abandonment they've set in motion will be their ultimate punishment. The karma is real, and it's coming for them, slowly but surely. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Watching Kody and Robyn spiral deeper into their own delusions, hurting the very people who once loved them unconditionally. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one dysfunctional relationship. This is about the real cost of narcissism, manipulation, and selfishness. They've managed to tear apart a family, all for the sake of their fragile egos and superficial desires. But as we've seen time and time again, the truth has a way of catching up with you. Kody and Robyn may think they've won, but in reality, they're losing everything they claim to value. The irony is staggering. The very things they tried so hard to control and perfect are the things that will ultimately slip through their fingers. So, what does the future hold for them? More loneliness, more regret, and a family that's moving on without them. But hey, that's just my take. I want to hear what you think. Do you think there's any hope for them? Or is this the final act in their tragic story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to TLC's Sister Wives Secrets for more in-depth commentary. Until next time, friends, keep questioning the narrative and keep rooting for truth.